Hi, this is Sandy with Needs a Ribbon, and I'm bringing you a fun fold today, and it is fun and it does fold. This is what I made up as my dummy, and that's all I'm going to show right now. It's a standard card, 4¼ by 5½, and it's not perfect. This again was my prototype, as it were, but then it pulls out like this. Or if you really want, you could go like this. Which orientation is up to you, but that is what we're gonna make today. Yay, let's get started. So, to get started, you will need a bone folder. You will need, and I will insert in the video what you're gonna need, the tools. You will need, I need my instructions, because as many times as I've made this card, this will probably be time number 6, I think, I still need to look at the instructions. It comes pretty easy, but this is one of those kind of what I call precision cutting and scoring. You can't have a lot of fudge factors. I mean, it'll still work. It's not my normal forte. So you're gonna need some cardstock. You're gonna need some pattern paper DSP. I'm doing a mail card. I'm using the Radiant Foils Specialty Designer Series paper, and this is nummy. It is all pecan pie. Again, I'm doing a mail card, that's M-A-L-E, not M-A-I-L. Though, oh my, why is it not coming out? Okay, that's okay. So I am going to, oh, I love our foil paper. So I'm going to use you're going to need 2 patterns that coordinate of some kind of patterned paper. That's just my recommendation. You're going to need some cardstock, 2 standard A4, whatever it is, A2, 8½ by 11 or whatever paper. You're going to need some decoration for the front and an image, really not more than 2 inches. You can go a little bit bigger, but some kind of focal point and a greeting and all that other stuff. So what you need is fairly simple in nature, but again, it's the mechanism of this. It's called a Triple Z Fun Fold. So let's go ahead and get started then. So I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. I'm going to grab 1 piece of cardstock, and you're going to cut the card base to 8 by 11. You're going to trim them off a 1/2 inch strip off the long edge. So you're going to cut it to 8. And I'm trying to, it says 8 by 11. Ha! I can't remember, and I feel bad. So you're going to trim off a 1/2 inch strip here. Okay? That is for sure. And I don't think you cut off, well, we'll see. I can't remember if you cut off, it says 8 by 11. I think I meant 8½ by 11, so I will have to correct my instructions before I put it out there for you. So now we want to take this entire sheet, and at one time we're going to score the entire thing for the project at 1 3/8. And then at 2 3/4. And again, you want to, if you're going to stick right to the line, then that's what you want to be consistent with. And again, so now we've got this. We want to rotate our paper to the short side and cut it to 4½ by 11. Okay. that is going to be our card base. So that's 4.5 by 11. Now we want to rotate this and score on the opposite side. Since we've scored on this side, we want to score on the opposite side to 1 3/8, not with our cutter. I've made that mistake making this, and 2 3/4. So when you are done, I mean, you could just take a standard 4 1/4 by 11 and then score it, you know, 1 3/8 and 2 3/4 in. But the reason you want to do them both at the same time is so that these score lines line up. And if you are that accurate and you know that you consistently line your paper up at X, or as my dad used to say, the kerf line, in this case, the scoring kerf line, then great, go for it. But otherwise, that's why I recommend the one sheet method. So now we're going to, I'm going to pull this out of the way for a minute. You need a bone folder. And again, I will give you supply list. And I buried, so you're gonna score this to mountain, valley, valley, mountain. And that will form your mountain, valley, valley, mountain. Okay? I'm gonna go ahead and just do my valley. And you really do want to burnish. If you're not a burnisher, or if you don't have a bone folder, use a stamping block. There's lots of things. I've used scissors, but something other than your fingers, unless you have a really firm grip. I do not. So now we've burnished. We've got our mountain, valley, valley, mountain, mountain, valley, valley, mountain. That is our card base. That measures 4 1/4 by 5.5 right now, and it's going to stay that way. And look at how precise I was. Wow, good job, Sandy. Good job. Round of applause for her. So, and again, I will post the instructions at the end. You want to cut this other 11-inch strip down to 8 1/4. So we're going to swing, in my case, I'm going to swing my trimmer out to 8 1/4. 8 1/4. Oops, wrong way. We don't want to cut off our scoring. We want to cut it from the other side. 8 1/4. We want to be really accurate. Want to set that aside. Okay. And it should already be scored at your 1 3/8 and 2 3/4. And now you're going to do the same and burnish. So in this case, it's just a mountain and a valley. We want these. Okay. Mountain, valley. Okay. Now, it says cut the 3 3/4. It is 3 3/4. Okay. Magic. I got a boo-boo on my instructions, and that's okay. We will fix that before we post it with you guys. We want to cut this into 1 3/4 strip. Okay. 1 1/4. So we want to, again, precision. This is a precision card. So we want to line it up to the 1 1/4, and I'm going to consistently use this line because that helps with the perfection or the kind of precise nature of this card. And again, don't let that scare you. I don't normally like precision, as I call them, cards, as it were. It's not my jam, but see, now those are our bridges. Those form our bridges. So we're done with that. We're done with our card base. Now we need to get our paper. We need to cut a paper, and it is going to be, it's the pattern, well, not the pattern, it's up to you, but it is going to appear here, 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 and here. So if you want a vertical pattern, just be aware of that. I prefer a horizontal pattern there. So I am going to cut, I want it to go this way. Yeah, I want mine to run So I'm going to cut it to 4, because your card is 4 1/4, so it's going to form a layer. So we're going to go to 4, oh, the paper cuts like butter, by 9 1/8. And everybody loves 1/8 measurements. Set this aside, just in case. So now I think we can collapse our trimmer. And again, once you've made these, I still have to look at the instructions, because there's no way I want to cram all these measurements in my head. But so now we want to cut this 4 by 9 1/8 inch piece of paper. We're going to cut 3 1 by 1 1/8 inch pieces. Now, if you are using a paper that is scenic, and you want your scenic paper to go landscape, keep your paper order. This is, I don't really care, that is not an actual stripe. They're kind of organic stripes. I don't really care for this, but if you are concerned about that, keep your paper as you trim them in order as you pull them off the trimmer. Otherwise, you're going to have fun matching that up later. By the way, this foil paper only is decorative on one side, so we want to go 3 1 1/8. 1. See, I'm just going to pull them aside like that. 2, 3. And then you can put them aside in that order. I'm going to demonstrate to you just so you get it. And then we're going to cut one piece. We're going to keep our paper going to 2 3/8. And that is between the 2 1/4 and 2 1/2. If you don't know your eighths, and that's fine if you don't, that is going to be your center panel on the back, or on the bottom side. Now this last section, we're cut 3 more 1 1/8 pieces. And this is probably honestly the most, again, only if you're dealing with paper that you want to keep the orientation. And I'm going to keep these 3 in order just to kind of demonstrate. So we're done with that. We're done with that. Now we need another layer of DSP. I had a little trouble with the person whose instructions I followed. I got to take a sip of water because this is a lot of talking card. There was some questioning. I think I want it this way. We're going to start cutting our layers for the bridges. So I don't want it to be too linear this way, because we've already got linear in the back side. So I'm going to orient my paper this way. So we need to cut this to 3 by 6 3/8. And my hesitation was, okay, which way do I need to cut the 3? No, 5. Okay. It's gonna go up this way. Yep, 3. Yeah, so my 3 will go this way. You see what I'm thinking there? We go a little past the halfway point because it's 6 3/8. I am gonna swing my arm out for this. Ooh. Oh god, this paper just feels so nummy. 6 3/8, and unfortunately we go on our Stampin' Up! Trimmer, we go right to where the dark meets the light. That is your 6 3/8 mark. I've made enough of these that I am very comfortable with that. Okay, I'm going to pull that aside, and then we're just going to cut these into 1-inch sections. So these are, again, our decorative pieces for our bridge. 1, and again, if you have paper that you want to keep the pattern of, make sure you are aware of that as you pull them off your trimmer. Okay, so mine went this way. Now, there is something else we need to do with them. We need a Post-it note. And so we want to do, and there's a reason that we're doing it this way. Again, precision is a thing. We want to keep them all together. So pat them all back together. Put a Post-it note to cover all three. And we're going to, oh, I put my Post-it note the wrong way. Why didn't you guys tell me? No, because you couldn't see it. But I'm going to butt them back up here. I want to make sure that they are all and now we're going to rotate this whole thing and we're going to cut this to 5 1/4. Again, that is what we're doing, is we are cutting the bridge piece. And then there's a little decorative piece that'll go right there. So that way everything is in kind of order. If you're really picky about that, I recommend you do it a different way, but I'm going to set these aside. And I believe that is it for our trimming for our card outside of the decorations. So remind you where we're going. We only need 1 sheet of cardstock. I don't want to mess this up. I'm trying to keep everything in order. I'm going to bring in my card base. And so what we want to do, we've got paper lying all over. So now we are going to start building our bridges. We're going to build bridges, not break bridges. We want to make sure our piece is oriented landscape, our 4 1/4 by 11 piece, the MVVM folded. And we're going to take in place our first bridge. And these are your bridges, the 1 1/4 by 8 1/4 piece. Now, you can use tear and tape if you want. I like using glue, whatever your glue is, whether it's the Tombow or whatever, just because it allows you a little bit of play. If you are that accurate with your placement, you do you. But you want flat adhesive. You don't want dimensionals or glue dots or anything for this. You really want it to be flat and precise. So we're going to grab our first bridge and it's going to get placed. I like to work left to right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place it this way. I don't know yet if I end up, I've made them so it goes this way and this way. I don't know yet. It doesn't matter. We're just building our bridges. So that sounds confusing. It'll make sense once you've made one of these. And actually it kind of makes sense as you go along. So we want to take a bridge. We want to take this flat part. And now it is going to be a valley mountain, not a mountain valley. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive here. And we're going to fold this up to make like a right angle, and we're going to push it all to make sure it lines all the way up with the top of our card. And mine slid, and that's okay. I don't mind the sliding with this card. Any little glue that seeps out is going to get covered anyway. But we want to, I just laid my arm in glue. So we want that. We're going to push it that way. That little bit of adhesive will get covered in a moment. We want to take another bridge and put some adhesive on that black kind of square. It's really a rectangle. And we're going to bring our mountain valley thing up. And we're going to, because that's kind of a blocker, we got to make sure that that paper will fold over that and push it all the way. Because see, when you push down like this, it does force the paper in a micrometer to the right. That's part of why I do that. I want to make sure it's all the way smudged into that valley as much as it can, but allow some flexibility so you don't have your paper bowing. And mine slid a little bit. It's not quite precisely to the edge, but it is now. Okay. And now we want, I like working left to right, so now I'm going to rotate it. And we're going to, our final bridge, again, it's going to be, we're working with it like this. Put some adhesive on there. And it helps if you lay this flat for this. And we want to make sure that it is right in the middle. And also helps if you do this. I know I goobered. It's fine. It's going to get covered up in this case. Whoops. We want to make sure it's absolutely all the way in there. And I want to make sure, I'm going to do it measurement check. Needs to shimmy down. We want it right in the middle. If you want to go ahead, if you are that concerned and are not good about eyeballing, measure. Find your middle. So what I would do then is put a mark where the middle is on your card base and where the middle is on your bridge. And then, it's gonna get covered up anyway. Then just line up the lines. So that is a tip. Okay. So now we've kind of got our bridge done. Now, I'm on I've lost where I'm on in instructions, and it doesn't matter. I get it now. They're 4 pages of instructions, people. You'll be working with your DSP now, okay? So we want to, I'm gonna push I don't wanna get adhesive on that beautiful foil paper. Since we kept our first 3 1 1/8 pieces in order, now we're going to place them. We're going to place them. So flatten your card, and we're going to put adhesive on the back, whatever your adhesive jam is, and we're going to center that, leaving a very tiny border going around. And we're going to keep going in order, and you can probably start to see the vision here. You can see how the goopers get covered up now. I will say this foil paper has a very slippery back because the whole thing is coated. So you want to press and hold if you're using this kind of foil paper to make sure that adhesive starts to actually stick before you lift up. Otherwise, I've had the glue kind of shimmy on me. Tear and tape might work for this too, but I like the play of glue. Now I'm checking to make sure that they're all lining up and they're all centered on each panel. And we're going to keep going. Now we're doing our center panel. Now you could stamp a greeting here, but as you can see, it's not really going to show. You could do something fun there. I just prefer to keep it DSP. I just find it's kind of a fun peekaboo. So we want to squidgy our glue around. Yes, I said squidgy. I wish I had a tissue. Once the card's all put together, it's not going to show because it's going to be underneath the bridge anyway, but is there not glue under there? I want just a dot. Okay, we're good. Now our remaining 3 that I've kept in order, we're going to do the last 3 panels. By the way, what do you think of this card? I love it. I really do. Would I make one every day? No, but I've made 2 or 3 this week, which is funny. This being the 3rd. Just holding it down to make sure that the adhesion is happening and that paper isn't going to drift on me. Again, I have had that happen, and after I didn't notice until after the glue had already dried, and now it's now crooked and my project is ruined. Not a problem with normal cardstock or even our regular 2-sided DSP. It's this foil stuff has got quite the coating on it. So you want to make sure that it's sticking. We're all good. We're good. So as you can see, we are just kind of give you a look ahead. See, we're coming together. So now you want to adhere your DSP to your bridges. That's the next step. So what I'm going to recommend, I've kept my little rectangles in order also. I'm going to bring it all over and take a sip of water, sorry. So this is just a little, if you're really particular, I'm going to keep my card this way. I think I am. I'm not going to play with the orientation. So this was cut off of this one. So that will stay lined up. This was cut off of this one, but it's going to go over here and there. Oh my gosh. Okay, that is just wild. That it precisely lines up even though it was cut here. Okay, that trips my mind and that ruins my point. But if you are really picky about your pattern, again, if you're using scenic paper, do you see how you may want to cut your 1-inch lines and then cut it down to 5 1/4? Not all at once, but in the individual strips, if you have a seam that you want to keep going. I just wanted to point that out. Okay, that's all. But I'm going to pull this aside because I don't want to drip glue on it. I'm going to take my Post-it note off. I've been trying to keep it on there to keep it. So I am going to flatten my card kind of. Just makes it easier to work with. Just flatten her out right now. And we're going to adhere this, and then we're going to adhere there, and then we're going to go there, there, and there, there. Okay? Go for it. So we just got a little gluing to do. Making sure that doesn't shift. Okay, I'm still a little tripped out by the fact that the paper, because of the way it cut, because of the consistency of the pattern, it worked out this time. But again, if you are doing scenic paper, which this would be beautiful with some kind of scenic paper, and we have a lot of scenic paper, then you, again, may want to do the alternate cutting method for the bridge DSP pattern paper. And now we need to do this. And we are getting near the end. So once you get to this point, a little bit more glue. That was a little chintzy, Sandra. Yep, that's it. Wow, that is pretty together. That really is pretty together. But do you see part of why the precision happens once you start getting all this thick paper on there? You got to make sure that you are in good shape. There we go. We're going to pull that apart. And I'm not done with my glue. I don't know why I'm putting my cap on. So at this point in our crafting, if we want to add, this is the Neutrals Jute Combo Pack in Beige Crumb Cake Early Espresso Mossy Meadow Pecan Pie, and it is a choking hazard. Okay, that's probably for the package, but whatever. Thank you for telling us. If you are going to add some ribbon to one of your bridges, now you could just tie a bow and glue dot it on, but I for the sake of showing you how to do certain things and where to find the end. There it is. You want to add if you're going to put any ribbon on around these, it's best practice to do it before you do your final assembly. Just because you have so much better access. You can do it after. I've done both. I'm going to go ahead and I wasn't necessarily going to add something, but I think for the purpose of demonstration, I will show you what I mean. And this is really thick jute. My dad used to love jute. I think he called it something else. But we had coffee cans, McGarvey coffee cans of the thicker jute all over the house, and little handmade rolls. And my dad liked his jute. He was an engineer through and through. Okay, he would use it to tie boxes shut. I prefer packing tape. I prefer adhesive. So I'm just guessing because I didn't fully plan my ending here, but I'm just going to tie it up. And I can finish cutting off camera. I may even want to fuse those ends. And yep, so that's the naturals. I think it was natural jute twine. Neutrals, okay. Naturals, neutrals, they look both the same. Okay, so that is a tip. If you're gonna tie a ribbon around, and I think I need to stick a little bit of, I don't like the way that's popping out. Just a tiny bit. Yep, that's good. Okay, so yes, if you're going to adhere your any kind of ribbon on a bridge, this is the time to do it. It really is the best practice. So next, we are going to do our final assembly. This is where it gets a little, not scary, but you want to make sure. This is where honestly tear and tape might be good. If you can see what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive right here. I'm going to just go with, it's going to take a little bit more time because I'm regretting the choice of adhesive for this. But I will press and hold and hope that it sticks. Again, the top of this paper is so glossy that, let's see if I can one-handed reach some tear and tape. It would almost make me feel better. Oh, and I'm about to, that was my garbage, people. Sorry about that. Okay, it is sticking kind of. It's threatening to lift up. But I think I'm going to use tear and tape for mine. Just a small piece even. Just because that paper is so shiny, and again, it's coated, and I love the paper, but so I recommend folding your bridge, fold it flat, and you want to make sure your corners are all lined up. It's also a little bit faster to use the tear and tape. And now we want to do our bridge over here. We're almost done now. And again, not too bad, is it? They really are. They're fun. The effect is, so I'm going to fold that in. I'm going to fold this and push that out of the way. I just want to get an eyeball as to where my tear and tape needs to go. make sure that your edge is secure. And there we go. So that is your final card out. Really, yes, I should have used turn tape there. Without decorations. Now, you want to, because there is so much tension in this and it is new folding, you want to fold it and unfold it a few times really before you decorate. You see how it's kind of, that foil paper is sticking a little bit. I think I'm going to put a little bit of glue there. I was trying not to get too near the edges. I would rather see what lifts up rather than have it ooze all over. Okay, so you want to fold it and unfold it a few times before you do a final decoration. Again, you're just kind of loosening the fibers in that paper. Are we lifting there? Not really. And that, okay, I think I'm comfortable decorating it now. And if you're concerned about your user being able to, you know, the user being the person who you give the card to, how to open it, put a little Post-it note in there. That's what I recommend. So I came up with, since this video is not about stamping per se, I did not stamp. I stamp on my own time. Okay, we're gonna push that over there. I like that. I'm gonna trim this down just a little bit because I want that paper to kind of peek through, and you're not gonna be able to see me because my trimmer is off camera, but that's okay. Yep, I like that better. I trimmed it down. Sorry about that, about going off camera. I wanted the paper to be able to peek through like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually gonna bring, I just put my tear and tape away. I'm gonna grab it. That's just my recommendation with this, what they call foil paper. Not our normal foil paper, but this printed foil paper, because it really isn't a foil. It's just a shiny coating. Now I need to be really accurate here. Oh, I like that. Yep, that's good. And you don't, I'll show you some examples. You really don't want a super big something on here. And I already put my dimensionals behind in a row. You don't want them, you want to make sure that they stay on the bridge. I'm happy with that. Whew, that is a flashy card. And I wanted to add just a few of these little gold adhesive backed, they're like dots. Yeah, they are dots. Okay, they call them dots. Just to give it a little contrast here and a little dimension. Go there. We'll go, there. Ooh, yes, that works. That works well for me. So there is our bridge fold card, Triple Z bridge fold card. What a fun project. They do get kind of heavy. I think you might end up having, well, I shouldn't say that. Some of my other ones aren't as heavy. It's this paper. But oh, what fun. Then you could write your message back here if you want, or you could write it on the back. So why don't I go ahead and show you some other examples. Again, this is my demo, my prototype as it were. And it now that you've seen it, you'll have to decide which way you want the middle bridge oriented. So why don't I show you some other ones. There's this one, and I did decorate the back on this one. It's upside down, so you could write a greeting there. And this is two-tone paper that I sanded with our, I think it's called the tree ring folder. So to open it, you want to hold on one of the bottom, or just, no, you don't want to do middle, thumb and middle in one, and this one really opens kind of hard just because I made such a heavy. How cool is that? So there's that one. This was my very first one. And see how I have it oriented that way? And then this is one that I demoed and did with a group of demonstrators. So I'm going to put my thumb here and my thumb down here. That's kind of a wow with that paper. But do you see how I made sure that the paper stayed in a certain, I could have spun that one around. Anyway, that is all I have for you, and I have some other ones which I have not shared yet anywhere, so that'll just have to be a mystery. Ha ha ha. So that is the Triple Z Bridge Fold card, and I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you make it. If you do, share publicly, tag me at Needs a Ribbon, or post it in the comments. I can't remember if you can. But anyway, that is what I have for the Triple Z Bridge Fold card, and I hope you've really enjoyed this project because they are beautiful. You probably don't want to make a bulk of them, but they are beautiful. Thanks for joining me today. This has been Sandy with Needs a Ribbon. Stay tuned for the instructions. You can pause the video to look at them. Bye.